All right, so it's been a little while since we've done a story time. I'm here with my co-pilot Annabelle. Do you want to say hi? No, you're gonna be shy. Okay. Well, so since the last, I don't know, I guess some of the last story times we had were Civil War stories, and you guys loved the Civil War stories from the standpoint of the Douglas the Camel. So I thought I'd find another war story that involved an animal. So I've got a story here for you. His name is Wojtek. Um, his story's pretty cool. So, uh, if you once you kind of go through the videos, you'll see this. But at the beginning of the war, Poland gets bowled over by Germany, and so in any case, their army kind of gets disbanded. The Polish army does, and they kind of end up scattering to the wind. Well, they ended up in some of them ended up in the Middle East, and they kind of enlisted not really as a part of the British Army, but alongside the British Army. So they had their own group of soldiers that fought alongside the British Army, even though their country was kind of done. Okay, so anyways, when they were in the Middle East, there's a type of brown bear that lives there. It's kind of like a grizzly bear that we have here in North America that live in the Middle East. And there was a group of Polish soldiers there in 1942 that found a cub, and they like adopted the cub, and it became kind of like a part of their unit. And at first, when the cub was really small, it was kind of like a mascot. Now this is, Wojtek's grown a little bit here, but obviously still not fully grown because it's like a grizzly bear, so they get really big, and you'll see here in a second. But at first, it was kind of like a mascot, kind of like if you guys remember me telling a story about Winnie the Pooh in World War I, being a mascot, that kind of thing. So, in any case, this is him early on. Now, as the war progressed, and Wojtek grew, you can see that they like redid their insignia to include a bear carrying some artillery shells. And apparently they trained him. I found a picture. It wasn't a very good picture, so I didn't include it. But they trained him how to carry, um, artillery cases like this that would be about 100 pounds apiece. And they rigged up like a log, and it had two chains hanging from each end of it, and they would attach two of those, two of these, to each end, or one to each end, and so he'd pick it up and carry it on his shoulders and walk upright and like take it to where the artillery pieces were, away from where they were storing these things, because obviously you didn't want to like have these things right next to where all the guys were, because if he got hit, they'd blow up. So in any case, they trained him how to carry these things. So kind of cool. Wrong way there. So as he got bigger, they trained him to do all kinds of stuff. You can see him here. I don't even know what he's doing. It's hard to tell. I think he was eating or something like that. But they actually enlisted him in the army, so that he could receive rations, because he was getting so big that it was like super expensive to feed him. And so they enlisted him as a private in the army, and he was on all the rolls. It's kind of cool. You can actually go through their rosters, and see his name included in there, and they'd have his rations and stuff like that. Now, because he was in a group of soldiers, he got some bad habits. This is him drinking beer, and he also smoked cigarettes and ate cigarettes. So that's just not very good upbringing. That's poor parenting right there. Look at the bear. He looks like he's having too much fun, maybe a little bit. But in any case, he became famous because in one of the battles in Italy, he carried a whole bunch of artillery shells to the foxholes. And you can see this is a picture of him. Look at how big he is in the foxhole. But he fought in this big battle in Italy called Monte Cassino. Huge battle for the British Army, against the Italians, and he was commended for his work. And they got all kinds of cool pictures. Like, look at him on a motorcycle, like he owns the place. It's kind of cool. This guy looks like he's maybe falling asleep or something. I don't know. But in any case, pretty awesome. So after the war was over, because who's going to keep a full-grown grizzly bear as an individual? They Because they were part of the British Army, at the end of the war they ended up back in England, and so their group of soldiers ended up in Scotland, in northern part of the British Isles. And so when they got there, they actually took them back on a boat, and they got him back to Edinburgh, and they donated him to the Edinburgh Zoo, and so he lived there until 1963. So isn't that kind of cool? But this is a famous statue that they've got of him outside of the zoo, and it's supposedly it's good luck if you rub his nose. So when you see like side pictures of it, it's kind of cool. Like the rest of his body's dark looking, but his nose is really shiny because people walk by and always pet his nose. But just kind of a cool hero story of the bear. I'm surprised there's not been a movie made about that. Like how cool of a movie would that be if there was a bear like running around on the battlefield and carrying stuff and being all wild and everything. So, anyways, I'll have some more World War II stories for you. Some that are from my grandpa's, some that are from other famous people that you might recognize. In any case, I hope you enjoyed the story.